Well, good morning and happy Friday to you, lovely ladies and gentlemen. Steve Collins coming to you from rainy San Antonio, Texas, the second most powerful, passionate, purposeful coach and speaker in the world. Hope you guys are fired up and ready for this fantastic freaking Friday. Questions will change your life. Questions will change your life. And it's my desire today to help you change the situation you're in if you are not comfortable with the situation you're in. Good morning, Kelly. I've been reaching out to you, girl. We're going to call you this morning. If you're not happy with the situation that you're in, it is questions and not statements that will take you where you want to go. And it begins with the questions. The challenge is the questions have got to come from you. Now, this is a habit and a skill that you develop when you are into personal growth and personal development that may take some time to break the cycle of the lazy mind that does what it wants to do, when it wants to do it, the way that it wants to do it. Good morning, beautiful Margie. How you doing this morning? So when you are in the habit of your mind operating on default and not by design, and you have not yet created that habit, it'll be a little challenging in the front. And yet, I want you to understand that with the question I'm going to give you this morning, one for Jennifer. Angela told me to shout out to folks. I don't normally see people's names because I'm focusing on driving, but I'm going about 1 mile an hour in traffic. Guys, you have the power to change the situation you're in right now by the end of this video through the question you can ask yourself. Now, let me begin with this premise as the foundation for where we're going this morning, and it's this simple statement. There is no meaning to any situation except the meaning you attach to it. Let me say that again and let it sink in. There's no meaning to any situation except the meaning you attach to the situation. Let me give you an example. Of course, you know I have 7 kids, 4 boys, 3 girls. My boys have been trained since the time they could stand up to do certain things that people would call old school. To me, it's just chivalry and being a gentleman. Here's one of them. If you are anywhere and there is anyone around you, you hold the door open for them, especially ladies and the elderly. But if it's anybody, it's an honoring thing. We go to Starbucks over by La Cantera. I go with my, at that time, 16-year-old son. We're going into the Starbucks to get a cup of coffee. There's someone in our peripheral. He holds the door open, and it is a woman probably in her 60s, and she stops. Good morning, Gina. Stops. And she makes a big deal of it. And she says, "Young man, you held the door open for me." And he goes, "Yes, ma'am, I did." And she goes, "Did you just say yes, ma'am?" And he laughs. He goes, "Yes, ma'am." She goes, "This is amazing." She goes, "I just don't see young men in your generation who honor folks like this. I love that. Thank you so much for holding the door open for me." And he said, "You're welcome, ma'am." And we went and got our cup of coffee. Fast forward a month after that, same situation, same Starbucks, same identical deal. My son and I walk up, someone's in our peripheral, he holds the door open, except this time it is a younger, maybe 30-something female with body piercings, real short hair, and tattoos, which I love everybody. No judgment. She says, "You don't have to hold the effing door open for me." My son is shocked. He looks at me. I immediately, being the coach and father that I am, said, "Excuse me, ma'am. He's not holding the door open because of who you are. He's holding the door open because of who he is." To which she replied, "Well, F you too." At which point my son looked at me and said, "Dad, I don't want coffee anymore." I said, "Neither do I, son." And we walked off and had a conversation about it. What is my point? There's no meaning to any situation in your life except the meaning you attach to it. Same situation. Father and son at a Starbucks opening the door. One person tells themselves the story. This is an act of honor and chivalry. This is an act of honor and chivalry. Greetings, Brother Maloof. Honor and chivalry, she compliments him. Identical situation a month later. Father, son, open the door at Starbucks. That other girl told herself a whole different story about that situation. What was the situation? A young man holding the door open. Same situation, 2 entirely different stories, and 2 completely diametrically opposed responses or reactions from those persons who told themselves a story. Who are you, ladies and gentlemen? Who are you? Are you the person that when a situation occurs, you are in the habit of telling yourself a negative story about that? Well, bad things always happen to me. Well, bad things come in three. Well, I can't just seem to get a break. I just can't seem to make it. Nothing goes right for me. Everything goes right. I should have expected this was going to come. What next is going to happen? What is the story you are telling yourself? Those previous statements are stories of default and victimhood. They are not empowering. There's no meaning to any situation except the meaning you attach to it. And here, my friends, is the question that I'm going to give you, that I ask myself every single time I am faced with a response that is negative. Oh, by the way, does Brother Collins have negative responses? Of course I do. I just address them like that, and I flip them and spin it like a master flipper spinner, because I've created the habit, because I am not a victim, because it's up to me to call the situation what I intend to call it. Here is the question, or as it is in the video, aka WWCSD, what would Coach Steve do? What would Coach Steve think? What would Coach Steve say? Please use me in your brain when you're in a situation like this as a trigger. When you feel a negative response or reaction, the first thing you must recognize is you are automatically, by default, going into judger mode. Judger mode is where you show up with a statement. A statement is a statement, ends with a period, or depending on your level of drama, an exclamation point. Bad things always happen to me. I can't ever get a break. Why is this happening again and again? I can't stand this. This is ridiculous. Nothing good happens for me. Those are judger statements because you're pronouncing a judgment on the situation, calling it what you have chosen to call it. Good morning, Miss Maria. Blessings to you and your family, Miss Tulos. You are in a situation of judger when you are thinking in terms of statement. You are in a situation of learner, empowered learner, when you ask a question. What is the magic question, Steve? I've been waiting for it. Please give it to me already. Here is the question. How else could I look at this situation in a way that would empower me? Ladies and gentlemen, I just changed your life if you put it into practice. How else can I look at this situation in a way that would empower me? How else can I look at this situation in a way that would empower me? Let's go into our etymology. Empower me means to be endued with power, with strength, with vim, vigor, intensity, confidence, power, passion, purpose. There's a lot attached to being empowered and being a victor versus being disempowered and being a victim. And you are the author of the book you are writing about your life with your little mouth and your little tongue, speaking it every day. What is the magic question? How else could I look at this situation in a way that would empower me? How else can I look at this situation in a way that would empower me? Let's go into a real life example. For those of you that have teenagers, I have 4 in the house, getting ready to have 5 in the house. Sigh. Deep breath. I have one in particular that for the last couple of years has been an incredible challenge. And when people would ask me how things were going, I had a negative judger statement. I would say, oh, teenagers. Oh, this and that. You know what? It took me about 2 weeks to go, Coach Collins, what up with that? You don't ever speak negatively, and that's not empowering, that's disempowering, that's victimhood. So, I suggest you do what I do. I looked at myself in the mirror and I slapped my own face and I said, come on, son, what is a different way? How could I look at this situation differently that would empower me? Well, ladies and gentlemen, the reason you may not want to ask yourself that question is because you are then responsible for the outcome. It falls on you. If it is to be, it is up to me, the sages and gurus say. Good morning, Marine Kimmy, my fellow warrior in the Lord. You have the ability to determine how you're going to identify that situation. There's no meaning to any situation except the meaning you attach to it. What is the meaning you attach to it? What is the statement you say about it? Are you in judger mode making a statement about it, or are you in learner mode asking a question about it? Because two parts of your brain are being engaged depending on whether you make a statement or whether you ask a question. You make a statement, your brain says, okay, that's the way that it is. Then guess what happens when you say, nothing good happens to me, all these terrible things are happening to me? Your brain says, did you guys hear that? Nothing good happens for him, everything bad happens to him. Let's now magnetize that statement and give this man what he's speaking and bring more of that into his life. You have just opened the door and created an invitation for more of the crap you just spoke over yourself to show up in your life. There's a statement in one of my favorite books, and it says this: let the weak say, I am strong. Let the poor say, I am rich, because of what the Lord has done for me. My son, my young son, asked me, Dad, isn't that lying? I said, not if it says it in a B-I-B-L-E, son. It means you are declaring in advance the outcome you intend to show up in your life. You are speaking it by faith, not by facts. You are declaring by faith what you know is coming your way. So be very careful what you call the situation. How else could I look at this situation in such a way that would empower me? With my teenager I was struggling with, I said to myself this very question: what is a way that I could look at this situation differently that would empower me? And here is the answer I gave myself, because when you ask the question, instead of your brain making a blanket statement and saying, okay, this is it, attract more of this, your brain now goes to work to look at and look for the solutions to empower you to not only see that situation differently, but to begin to declare the possibilities that you choose to be magnetized to your brain and your world, that somehow, some way, the amazing good Lord puts into action and begins to bring into your life by way of attracting it from what you speak. Life and death are in the power of the tongue, y'all. Life and death are in the power of the tongue. So what did I say? I said, here's how I could look at it. This young man is exposing in me my lack of self-discipline, my weaknesses in leadership, which is a really good thing. He's helping me become a greater leader. No one else in my life has ever challenged me to lead differently than this young man. What a blessing this young man is in my life. Now when people ask me, how are things going? I say, they're going great. My teenagers are the greatest coaches that I have. They expose things in me I didn't know were there. They put light on weaknesses that I thought I had overcome, and they're teaching me to be a better leader. Because you see, not only do I lead by example, I have to lead by asking questions now, and I'm growing in leadership because of these precious children. See, there's no meaning to any situation except that guy every morning is like, what the hell is that guy doing in there? There's no meaning to any situation except the meaning you attach to it. What are you going to call that situation? Because guess what? Your brain's going to believe you. Your brain is going to agree with you. And your brain is going to magnetize to attract that to your life. I can never get ahead financially. We can just never seem to make it financially. We always one step forward, two steps behind. Welcome to your future, sugar pie honey plum, because you just magnetized your brain and spirit to attract more of what you have declared into your life. What can you say? Wow. This financial situation we're in is the perfect catalyst for us to learn and grow how to be more knowledgeable about and responsible for our financial future. There's so many resources out there and available. I think this is a signal to us that it's time for us to really get serious about learning how to manage finances so that we can build, grow, and multiply finances. The magic question, ladies and gentlemen: how else could I look at the situation in such a way that it would empower me? When you do that, you open yourself to many possibilities, and AKA WWCST, what would Coach Steve think? Put me in your head, y'all. My favorite part of my day is my coaching client saying, I was gonna wuss out on this, but then I heard you in my head, Coach, and I got up and did what I had to do. Please allow me entrance into your brain so that I can take you out of wussy mode and put you into warrior mode, take you out of victim mode and put you into victor mode. take you out of being disempowered into being powerful. Help me help you, Brother McGuire. Help me help you. Do you hear me? Do you hear me, y'all? Listen, there's no meaning to any situation except the meaning you attach to it. Don't declare a thing over it if it's negative, because you'll attract more of it. Move from it's this way to how else can I look at this in such a way that would empower me, and watch how big your life can get. Have a great day, guys.